I wanna act like I'm chewing gum, but I don't chew gum. Maybe anyway, I did this thing and it was well, you got busted. Wow. You got busted, didn't you? So you spied on me and you stole my work. What are you using it for? You gonna use it today? Or are you trying to seal some deal? Huh? Alright. Let's see if I can find this here. Follow up to Kid versus Texas Public Utilities Commission. And then there was another one versus Texas Public Utilities Commission. I'm just going to open this up because I want to see how long it is. See, there was this guy. It's actually a bunch of guys. And they contacted the Texas Public Utilities Commission because they had concerns with, they had problems with what was going on with the smart meter program here in Texas. And one of the respondents, the first respondent listed, was a military veteran. His last name was Kidd, Kidd. There were other people as well. What happened was is they filed a act through the Texas Public Utilities Commission in accordance with the laws of Texas. From what I understand, at least from the appeal they submitted or the filing they submitted to the state of Texas, that they were seeking to go through the commission in order to get the commission to have a public hearing so that they could discuss a set of rules that they were trying to get the commission to consider for implementation regarding matters connected to the smart meter program. This is what is mentioned in the filing they submitted to the Supreme Court of Texas after they did not seek or did not obtain redress from the Texas the Public Utilities Commission of Texas. I read through the filing at some point in time on 10/29 on October 29th, 2020. Why? I'll tell you why. I found this information a while ago. Actually, it was over a year ago I first heard about it. And at the time I found it, I actually found information about the original filings, articles connected to the matters before the Public Utilities Commission. I have them in my let's put it my archive, which I also consider evidence, not as a recrimination of them, but because it demonstrates various kinds of patterns and how concurrent activity can make an impact on, or so there you go, an impact can have an effect on what is going on elsewhere. And in the course of that, so you guys are literally going to go to the Supreme Court today. So Texas is going to go spearhead this effort at the Supreme. Are you going to be driving around teen drivers, or are you just expecting them to finance you? I see. As this is what's so disappointing. Because I saw what you guys hooked up in the dreamscape last night. I'm trying to be as comported as possible because what you did was incredibly, incredibly anti-Semitic, which means you're drawing on ISD bonds as well. I see. Well, you're just pulling out the whole kit and caboodle, huh? Hmm. Anyway, I made a voice recording that would have been what I would have offered personally as my support to them perhaps appealing the decision of the Texas Supreme Court in that matter. Now, this is several years old. This filing they did, but it's very relevant now, and I'll tell you why. Because right now, the Northern District of Texas and the water district associated with this area was supposed to be going through a period where they were going to be talking, including in public meetings, about renegotiating rates concerning water consumption. But what happened was instead, we got COVID 19, and all the things they were supposed to be doing got shut down because we're not allowed to have meetings in public anymore, right? But meanwhile, what ended up happening is so far two major bond issues have happened in Dallas alone, including one connected specifically to the water infrastructure. And all of them were completely fraudulent. And all of them involved activity that was going on in Dallas that was not only illegal, but also was itself a hazard to public safety. And I believe they were specifically and intentionally engaging in unsafe, unsanitary activities in the city of Dallas. That they were doing things that violated numerous codes of law and that were inadequate to actually address what they alleged they were doing in order to encode those bond issues with acts of sabotage, with an understanding that at some point later they would be able to leverage it and that they would be able to swap it out in order to actually target infrastructure and projects in other countries as a form of leverage for what? The insurance sector, the banking sector, their pension portfolio. And now recently they've approved these ISD bonds that are also questionable for a variety of matters that I've already elucidated. Why do I bring up this particular case? Well, I believe by virtue of the fact that there was a respondent or that there was a petitioner whose name was Kid, that they've been playing this. Where's the kid? Now they may have been doing this before, but my contention is that they actually used that case and that effort of that community and that they visited some form of violent reprisal and or enticement into agreeing to play this very prurient, illicit game around the smart meter program and the rollout of 5G in Texas. And if you look at what was actually going on, for instance, in that specific case opinion that's provided by the Supreme Court of Texas, even somebody like me, as basic as I am, no law degree, no bar membership, no professional society, I don't even have a lawyer that'll talk to me and haven't for years, right? But even I can look at the opinion from the judge and then in the course of looking at it, understand how the Supreme Court made very, very strategic political decisions that were about positioning themselves for a long-term strategy. Well, then you have to look at what else the Supreme Court was doing at that time. And at the time that the petition was originally going through the Utilities Commission, there was a major, major case in the state of Texas that was being put before the Supreme Court concerning claims connected to insurance payouts specifically to the housing market. There were hundreds of claimants that were listed as part of a major piece of litigation that was moving before the Supreme Court of Texas. Now, part of what I'm concerned about is that that specific case and how it was leveraged with the efforts of this group of citizens and in Texas trying to get redress for violations of their rights in connection with abuse of a variety of matters associated with the smart meter program, including what it meant that they were trying to get rules passed around the smart meter program specific to its usage in their houses, their actual personal houses. While the Supreme Court was considering these insurance claims that were presented by the insurance companies before the Supreme Court, that I believe that that was used during Hurricane Harvey. I believe that they used that strategy and they used elements of what they did in the acts of reprisal they visited upon those people as part of what had already been allowed to proliferate, including subordinating people's political dissent and or quieting people or pressuring people into going with the flow and or enticing them with some sort of manipulation of radio bandwidth and or even potentially even extorting them or trying to shame them by hooking up children to the electric grid to be made accessible in a way that was completely inappropriate. And so over the time, people were normalized. They were acculturated so that when Hurricane Harvey came, that there was already the material means by which to either compel or entice people into cooperating with a huge effort to defraud the federal government around alleged need for emergency disaster assistance. And so in the course of doing that, part of what they did is they allowed for that leverage that they had accumulated during the Supreme Court's review of those cases for those insurance claims to be able to be used in conjunction with what they were trying to do through the Public Utilities Commission to retaliate against people and or set up the material conditions for what happened during Harvey and what's happening now. All of the things that have been happening since then. And so the situation now where I personally have tried to go through Supreme Court of Texas, Criminal Court of Appeals, the federal district courts, as well as the Supreme Court, I get nothing. I'm not even able to make a phone call. Is that what was done to those people in the Public Utilities Commission? Were they walled off and tortured until they just agreed to be good girls and boys? And did they actually extort them into saying, well, you chose to sign up with somebody who used this name, this is their name, and we're going to use that. And if you allow yourself to be associated with that person anymore, then this is what you can expect. I absolutely believe that that's what they did. And I actually believe in another level that's what's going on right now around the efforts to try to negotiate these rates regarding the Northern District of Texas and its water district system. See, my understanding is that there were certain suburban counties that did not have the same rate of consumption, according to a previous contract around water usage and consumption and rates, as some of the more interlying counties. Well, those interlying counties are right on the periphery of Dallas. But all of that got cut off, so Dallas could do what? Let me tell you, I came here for a $300 million bond. They did nothing close to honor it. What they did do is they stole from people, they imported and harvested who did work and claimed it in the name of Dallas. And what they've been doing with this one they just set up this past summer was they were intentionally setting up and orchestrating some sort of simulation of something that's so egregious when it comes to public health or public safety that I don't understand why they weren't actually shut down by the federal government. Because not only independent of those bond issues was what they were doing, a danger to public safety and public health. But in conjunction with the fact that they specifically used those bond issues and coordinated them with other bond issues that were ongoing and were in connection with a situation where now there's this novel situation, there's this unique situation because we've never had to deal with COVID-19 before, especially something like COVID-19, this health pandemic and this draw on resources in a way that can't be calibrated and can't be calculated in the way that you would ordinarily try to create a financial portfolio when it comes to developing a municipal bond or general obligation bond or a long-term financial instrument for your locality. No, all these bonds now talk about how they need an exception, or they need to delay, or they need an addition. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like what I believe was going on concurrent to the processes that were at work when it came to the Public Utilities Commission, the efforts for people to seek redress through the Public Utilities Commission in conjunction with what was going on at the Supreme Court specific to the insurance sector. And one of the things I say in my response is that by virtue of the fact that the Public Utilities Commission allowed itself to be intervened upon and with entities that would otherwise be under its jurisdiction were they to have had a public meeting, that this Public Utilities Commission ceded its jurisdiction. And not only did it cede its jurisdiction, but it became a market participant. And when it comes to matters of sovereign immunity, you have a completely different relationship as a market participant than when you're in fulfillment of your ministerial duties.